Hi, welcome back to the Timesink Anime Podcast, the show that is 100% proven to make your waifu real or your money back.
How does it do that?
Don't worry about it, okay? I need this money. I'm not going to be able to pay the bills.
Oh, right.
Anime.
Isn't that what Nendroids are for?
What?
Nendroids, aren't they for making your waifu real? Why would this... So are you trying to say to our audience that you'll buy them Nendroids or something?
No, I'm just... it'll become real, 100%. Magic. Don't worry about it.
Okay, sure. Let's go with that.
So in the news, Funimation recently has acquired a contract with Hulu.
Oh, yeah?
For, streaming rights. So they're gonna, stream their stuff on Hulu. So I guess they wanted to pull out of Verve and go onto Hulu for some reason.
I didn't know about that. But they've also got their own streaming platform on their website.
Yeah,
Funimation
sure.
Now.
But it seems like a weird decision to pull out of a anime-focused streaming service and then put your stuff on a non-anime focused streaming service.
I think there's anime has been on Hulu before.
Sure, but it's not anime focused.
Yeah, that is.
Hulu's mainly TV focused.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, but you have to remember that Verve itself has a bunch of different channels. It isn't just specifically anime focused.
Well, let's be real. It's probably 90% of the customers use it for
Crunchyroll.
For anime, yeah.
Yeah, for Crunchyroll and formerly Funimation, but now High Dive.
I've never heard anybody I use Verve only for Mondo. That's the only thing I use it for.
But, Verve has a lot of really cool channels, though, like Geek and Sundry and stuff like that. And then also their horror channel, Shudder, was pretty awesome. That's where I watched a couple really good horror movies, on Halloween. But
my point is, it's anime focused. So
yeah.
That's just kind of interesting thing that happened. We saw Mirai last week.
We did see Mirai last week. Thursday, I believe.
Made a video about that.
Yeah.
Go watch that if you haven't.
Yeah.
Unless you haven't seen Mirai, then don't watch it. But actually, you can watch it, but only watch the first
couple
5 minutes or so.
Yeah, exactly. Long story short, I enjoyed the movie. It wasn't my favorite Mamoru Hosoda flick yet. That still goes to Girl Who Leapt Through Time, but I enjoyed it. I give it a solid 7. Let's see. As far as other anime news, this is a big one. Guess what is finally out of licensing limbo, it seems.
Oh, yeah.
Freaking Evangelion. Just old school anime fans and newcomers alike rejoice because Evangelion has finally reached somewhere, is finally out of licensing limbo.
I've been wanting to watch it for a while, because I never watched it, being the pleb that I am.
Mm-hmm.
I've been wanting to watch it for a good while, but I haven't been able to because there was no way to legally stream it anywhere. And, the only way to do it was to buy it, but it was $150 for the box set.
Which, as much as I love Evangelion, it's probably one of my favorite franchises. I recognize the original series has many, many flaws, but
that's what I've heard. But
yeah.
I want to watch it anyways because it's a part of history.
Yeah, it is. It's a huge part of history, and it's super cool to see that it's finally going onto a major streaming platform. It's weird because Funimation has the rights to the movies and stuff like that, but they don't have the rights to the original show. I really don't know the reason for this. The licensing for that show has been confusing, but it looks like it's being set up to hit in January of next year, I believe, is when it's supposedly supposed to.
So I'll watch it.
Yeah, I'll probably watch it again, just because it has been a long time since I've seen...
How long is it?
It is 24 episodes.
Right.
Technically, it's 26, but most people say you can skip the last 2 episodes and just watch End of
I'm not going to do that, though.
Okay. The last 2 episodes... Don't say I didn't warn you.
Well, if I want to be upset, I want to know why I'm upset.
Okay, that is fair. I will just give you a bit of warning. Episodes 25 and 26 are pretty much universally despised.
Well, it's like saying that... It's the Dragon Ball Evolution movie is bad, so you shouldn't watch it. No, I think everyone who likes Dragon Ball Z should watch it anyways, just because of how bad it is.
Yeah, just because I guess that is a fair point, because you want to because if you want to actually be upset about something, you want to know why you're being upset. You want to be able to formulate your own opinion. You may recognize that yes, it is objectively bad, but there's no subjective reasoning behind it. So, but yeah, I won't say much more about that. I'm super excited for Evangelion finally hitting Netflix. So, anyway, that's it. So let's move right on with our weekly shows. It's going to be a little bit different this week because Index had 2 episodes.
Yeah, well, Index will just be talking about a little longer, probably.
Yes, I mean, that's what I mean. So, I guess, take us away. So.
Yeah, let's just jump right into it. So, I got really annoyed in... I mean, we're not going to talk about the episode separately because it's just be confusing.
Yeah.
I got really annoyed when Toma, like, got out of the hospital and he started, like, stumbling into the street, and Mikasa, like, sees him. She's like, or Misaka, yeah. She sees him in the street. She's like, I'm gonna help you, and like, I know about all these things. And Toma's like, no, I'm a man, so I have to do it by myself. And she's like, I guess he's a man, so he has to do it by himself.
Yeah, that was... I mean, there was a little... I mean, it
wasn't
so
much more character than that.
It wasn't quite that, but yeah, that was a little bit annoying.
They played it off as, like, she's a teenage girl and she's going through emotions, but it's like, it's just... I don't like the whole, I'm a man, so I have to do it myself situation. Like, he probably would have been so much better off with help.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like, I think that was... I think that actually is a pretty major point of contention for people for fans of the series. Like, the fact that Toma, like, almost vehemently refuses any sort of help from anybody. Like,
only girls.
Yeah, he'll throw himself into situations, but he will never ask for help from the people that are closest to him. Like, I think though later there is a huge moment when he finally just asks both Index and Railgun, just says, I need your help. And they basically give we have been waiting for you to ask that.
What part are you talking about?
This is like way later in the novels. It hasn't happened yet.
Okay.
As far as I know, though, this is supposed to encompass until about the end of the original Index light novel series. So then we'll hopefully be going into Index New Testament territory, but I don't know.
You're thinking, like, that's like 20 years in the future now.
Yeah.
It's going to be a while before... Yeah. I'm assuming,
yeah, just given the release schedule of freaking Index Season 3. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I also want to say that the whole point of, like, the Episode 8 was basically, we have a plan to defeat Aqua. Holy shit, Aqua's way more powerful than we gave credit for. It was pretty much like, we have all these plans to beat him. Well, he's able to circumvent all of these plans that we've come up. Like, we have saint-killing magic. Oh, I completely negate that for some reason.
They did alright in the beginning. Like, they did a really... I don't know exactly how they explained it, but they linked all their abilities together.
Yeah, no, that was super cool.
To help Itsuwa actually be able to, like,
stand toe-to-toe. Yeah, stand toe-to-toe with him.
And then she rubbed her spear with, like, I think it was 100 coats of resin.
Like 15, like it was like 1,500.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a ridiculous amount.
But it, like, made it hard enough to actually be able to, magic science block the
it's like
giant pillar.
It's supposed to symbolize rings of a tree or something like that, which, again, that was super cool. But the big problem, though, is they kept coming up with these plans, like, we're going to put you in, like, basically this penance chamber, like, where you're surrounded. Anytime you sever one of the strings, that represents a life that you've killed. But every time... but then he was supposed to be trapped by this, and then he just bursts out of it.
Yeah, they really should have made a contingency plan for that.
Yeah.
Like, you should always have... Like, I feel like in this situation, you should have, like, contingency on contingency on contingency. Because you're like, well, if this doesn't work, we're not... Maybe we should do something else instead of sitting there going, oh!
Yeah, nani?
My trap didn't work, oh!
But then they try to do the saint-killing technique, but he manages to block that, and then...
Well, that was kind of important.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't just him blocking it. It actually kind of set it up for...
Well,
yeah. Used it later on.
But we didn't know that at first, because he just seemed to block it.
Yeah. Well, it did weaken him, I think.
Yeah. I also want to point out that we actually got to see Itsuwa's yandere switch flip.
Oh, yeah.
It was scary.
After Tatsumiya gives her a pep talk.
Yeah, pep talk, basically debasing her at first, but then saying, prove to him that he made the right choice in trying to save you. Mm-hmm. Which...
You're a girl worth saving.
Yeah, pretty much.
A girl worth fighting for!
I also like that in this episode they revealed that Kanzuki is back.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Kanzuki is back, and
she's
got a new outfit.
I think during the opening for episode 8, we were like, Kanzuki's in the opening. Wonder if she's going to show up.
Oh, there she is.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I kind of like the differences between both Aqua and Kanzuki, because they're both saints, technically speaking. But
Aqua's just a saint with bonus stuff.
Yeah, he's a saint he's also a saint that has Holy Mother attributes with him, which is why he's able to basically just combine like two powers that are not supposed to.
Sure, why not?
Why not?
Yeah.
But the thing about that, though, which was really cool, is it's basically power that he had gained almost through like himself. Like he never really relied on a whole lot of other people. Meanwhile, Kanzuki is relying on the help of her friends and the Amakusa Church.
Yeah, two different kind of conflicting philosophies.
Yeah, exactly. Like, he believes that he is ridiculously powerful just because he was able to attain this state that nobody really should be able to. But Kanzuki recognizes that it's not weakness to try and rely on other people, which I thought was kind of cool. It's Japanese storytelling 101, always relying on your friends. Like Persona 4 Ultimate does the same kind of thing. Like the strength you gain is through the bonds you forge, all that cool stuff.
It all goes back to Spirit Bomb.
Yeah, Spirit Bomb. Lend me your energy, which is pretty much what they were doing. In the fight against Aqua, like you see them like holding out their swords, like basically helping her block.
Yeah.
Which again, kind of like what they were doing with Itsuwa. Which was super cool.
It's cool, it's a cool little hive mind thing. Where it's like everyone pretty much Voltrons.
Yeah.
It feels like.
Voltron Force, go!
But then, of course, like, nobody can win on their own without Toma showing up.
Yeah.
I mean, they can, like, that was the whole Battle Royale arc, but...
Yeah, exactly. I mean...
But it's just like, we're about to win, we got him, we're gonna hit him, and then he's like, no, it turns out he's like, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P.
I want to point out that part actually made me laugh, because...
Yeah, it was too goofy.
Yeah, because... He was trying... It basically was supposed to be him, like, shortcutting his spells, or esoteric rites.
They showed it before in, I don't remember, season 1 or 2 with Index.
Mm-hmm.
And when she was, like, making people attack in different directions or whatever. Oh, yeah.
But here it was just a little, like... Just how he shorthanded it, and basically it was, like, this really long, convoluted rite.
It's basically just blah, blah, blah tidal wave.
It's a blah, blah, blah tidal wave. Pretty much. But then he gets ready to, like, charge down and do this super, like, explosive attack, but then Toma manages to, like, block the magic properties of that attack. And
dumb.
Yeah, it would have been interesting had they tried to figure it out without Toma. Or if Toma had actually, like, accepted help from Railgun or something.
Mm-hmm.
But here, it was just, Toma kind of shows up and gives them the opening they need, which, alright, fine.
So I gotta say, not a big fan of Aqua. He's kind of boring and two-dimensional character.
Yeah, he really was.
Like, I don't even... What was his motivation? I don't even remember.
I don't remember.
He was a knight?
Yeah, he was a knight who had been, like, on, like, these horrifying battlefields, like, because Ursula reveals that, like, while talking to the Amakusa Church and what they're dealing with.
And I remember they did, like, a flashback.
But, yeah, I don't really remember it. It was just basically trying to build up as, like, see, look how powerful I am is pretty much what his motivation was.
I think his things was, like, you change things. I remember something along the lines of you change things inside the church and I'll change things outside the church.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Yeah,
it was completely forgettable. I feel like he was just there to kind of be an obstacle.
Yeah, just basically an immovable object versus an unstoppable force.
But in typical Index fashion... they ended episode 9 with a little bit of fan service.
Yeah, well, that was a big part of it, because there was, like, a 5-minute tirade of Tsuchimikado trying to convince Kanzuki to wear, like, this angel maid outfit with a doll that looks ridiculously like Kanzuki.
Yeah, that was impressive. I love Tsuchimikado. He's taking it, like, 100% seriously. Like, no, you can't just go in there and thank him. Like, what, you think that's going to be enough?
It's like you're losing to Itsuwa. Itsuwa right now. Hot Towel Girl is beating you.
Yeah, well, that's fucking what Itsuwa did as soon as Toma woke up. She's like,
here, take this.
Hot towel? Keeping it going.
But then, the biggest part of, though, this episode was was them setting up what's supposed to be happening next.
Oh, yeah, the Pope.
Yeah, the Pope impressively, like, holds his own against Fiamma, who is supposed to be even stronger than Aqua is. Like, or at least the leader of the right seed of God. He basically takes on the majority of this blast by himself, like, whereas he could have very easily just let it disperse to the Vatican, but he wouldn't do that.
Pope's very strong.
Yeah.
I thought he was going to die, but he didn't die.
Yeah, but then Vento shows up and apparently has a grudge against Fiamma because she calls him a rat bastard and apparently wants to help take him down.
Yeah.
I don't really know. We don't really know much about Fiamma yet. It seems like the next couple episodes are going to be like delving into Fiamma, eventually fighting him.
I don't know, man. I assume we have time for one more arc. Mm-hmm. This core.
Yeah, in this core we have like 3 more episodes. So I don't know.
It's cool seeing the Pope though, because it makes sense that when your power, like at least like religious magic, when your power is based off of your religious status,
and
that he would be so strong,
and the faith of people around him, and considering Vatican is like literally the center of the Roman Orthodoxy, it just makes sense that all that faith and all that power would actually contribute to it. So I like that. That was pretty cool. But Fiamma is apparently ridiculously strong, which is scary.
That's fine. They'll beat him.
Yeah, they're going to, one way or the other.
Good show, but if it's a bit predictable.
Yeah.
Toma's gonna save the day.
Toma's gonna save the day somehow. Now, on to our next show, Banana Fish. We start off with a more witty banter between Ash and AG.
Oh yeah, it was kind of a flip-flop situation because, you know, I think it was a couple times before AG always walks in on Ash kind of sitting out by himself. Yeah,
sitting on the roof.
And it was Ash walking in on AG sitting by himself.
Yeah, I like how when he was looking at the good luck charm that his sister gave him, it's like, yeah, this is a good luck charm my kid's sister gave me. What she didn't realize that it was a good luck charm for love, airhead. But they talk a little bit about, like, do you miss Japan, stuff like that. And then Sing shows up, and he, after getting kicked into the sewer... How did he get out of the handcuffs that he was in, by the way?
Bwong!
I don't know. Who knows? But it's really nice because Ash and Sing, like, get into a little conversation, and Sing basically pleads with Ash to, like, save his guys, like, and it's nice to see, like, how much he actually trusts and relies on him, like, when he was kind of the opposite before. Of course, it's...
At least behind the scenes, that's how he is.
Yeah. Exactly. But it was also kind of sad because, like, you see, like, how much Sing actually still tries to rely on Shorter's example when Shorter isn't there anymore.
Oh, yeah. I remember watching the episode, and I was just imagining, like, Sing's like, please help me. And it's just like, don't worry, Shorter, I'll help you. What? Don't worry, Sing, I'll help you.
But, yeah, I like...
Becoming Shorter, too.
Yeah, I like us watching characters kind of lament over Shorter's death. Because, again, Shorter was one of my favorite characters. Yeah. And it's kind of cool to see how important he was to everyone else and how much that death has carried on.
You brought up a point that the death actually, like, meant a lot throughout the series. Yes. Instead of just, like, dead character, move on.
Yeah. A good example is a certain character's death in Full Metal Alchemist. I won't say who, but... People who've seen the series know who I'm talking about by this point. But that death carries weight throughout the rest of the series.
Good writing.
Yeah, exactly. But I like how Yutlong also reveals that just kind of he goes into his typical villain monologue. We get to see like him go switching between like the conniving mastermind to the bratty little kid.
Yeah, what did Blanca say?
Blanca said it's like blood has made you suffer more than anyone else, but you're using it to make others suffer. And that causes him to just like slam his hand.
That reaction was so good. It's so just like stop it!
Fuck you! Yeah. Just don't you dare!
Blanca.
It's like, don't you dare contradict me! But we get to see as well what what Yut Long meant by saying, let's release a scorpion into his garden. Because
it's getting Lao to
like
betray him somehow.
Yeah, probably be the one to shoot him, I imagine. Like
it's probably doing something along the lines of if you shoot Sing, then we'll forgive everyone in your group's transgressions and let you back in.
No, I think he wants him to shoot Ash because like because he's trying to basically convince him like trying to feed into the fact that Ash killed Shorter, but then and then also on top of that, he says something to the lines of, "Don't you want to save your little brother? Don't you want to save your little brother, Lao?" Just, you know.
Yeah, that's true. I love the gay bar scene. You get Max just like, I think someone like came up and touched his butt, so he's like pouting at the bar. He's like, now I know how women feel when they get raped.
Yeah. It's like being targeted for sex is disgusting.
Yeah. Ash like wrapped his hand around his waist and he's like, come on, just look like you're together with me.
Yeah, just like pretend we're a couple. Okay, but we actually get a really, really good scene between Max, Ash, and Frog, actually, the guy who had rounded up a bunch of the kids that for Dino's club. Mm-hmm. Just like the little bit when Ash has him at gunpoint, like, and then it zooms in on his face, you hear like this faint little click, 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 and you don't understand it at first. But then Ash basically starts explaining it like saying, I can still hear the camera clicking. Just how...
Yeah, it's pretty fucked up.
Yeah. Like, just again, seeing all this trauma that he's been going through, and he's still trying to deal with it. And then, but then Max later, after getting all the pictures, they're saying, we'll protect the rights of these boys. And Ash says, no, just use mine. I'm a dead man anyway, so I don't have any shame. But then Max takes it and just burns it. Just says, I know you can't forget about it, but at least stop thinking about it. You don't have to let this control you anymore.
Yeah, further cementing the fact that Max is best dad of the season.
Yeah, Max is best dad of the season.
Best dad who went to a gay bar looking like a boyfriend to his son.
Yeah, exactly. But this episode, we also got introduced to Colonel Fox, who is basically somebody that is now working with Dino again.
Yep, because Dino just can't let Ash go, and he'll just throw everything he can to get him back.
Exactly. We actually also get to see Jessica again, Max's wife, which is hilarious because as soon as she steps in and starts getting ready to shout at Max, she sees AG. She's like, "Hi, AG." Oh, by the way,
just AG's such a nice boy.
AG's a good kid. But then later you see like Ash panicking about like a Colonel Fox and how it's like just wondering, how am I supposed to beat this guy? Like, and then AG basically trying to put it in perspective for him. I like how AG's able to help Ash rationalize stuff because Ash lets his emotions get in the way and kind of cloud his judgment. Yeah. But then AG's able to sort of like calm him down and just say, okay, think about this. You have the brains for it. Just stop and actually take a second. And then they ask, it's like, they're right. It's like, Ash was right. All of Fox's men are charging on this specific point. How did you know that's what they do? He's just like, ask AG.
Yeah, AG will tell you.
Yeah, pretty much. And then I want to point out that this plan of theirs, like, because it was a huge gunfight, it seems like this plan of theirs was, like, Ash kind of knew he was going to get captured or that people were going to get captured because he said something, meet up in 48 hours. So he knows that something is going to go down. Or at least has a plan for it to Lord...
Yeah, you're talking about when they went to save Sing's guys?
Yeah, well, after that, like, because later when, like, when Colonel Fox's men start shooting everybody and, like, holding hostages. Yeah. But before that, Ash says, like, meet up in 48 hours. Like, so it almost seems like, Ash kind of knows that kind of knew ahead of time what was going to happen, and has probably got some contingency plan. We don't know what that is yet, but I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm assuming it's not going to be another, like, everyone's captured again arc, because...
Yeah.
Or Ash gets sent back to prison again.
Yeah, because that would get kind of boring, but... Yeah. Anyway. I'm really enjoying this series. We've got 3 more episodes.
3 more episodes?
Yeah.
That's it?
Yeah, I know. It's been. You were worried about how this series was going to kind of drag on. Like you didn't know like how the story would continue after like 12. So
yeah, that definitely surprised me.
Yeah,
because I thought like the whole season, the whole plot of like the first, I want to say quarter of the series seemed to be around Ash trying to figure out a way to kill Dino.
Yeah,
but then they put in a bunch of different situations where Ash couldn't just do that anymore because he cares for AG now, and like yes, I think it was around the end of the first core, where Ash's priorities kind of shifted.
Yeah.
From killing Dino to protecting AG.
Yeah, exactly. And then AG slowly starting to develop into a bit of a badass himself, actually being willing to like hold a gun and kill people if necessary. But yeah, I really enjoyed this episode. It's hard. I'm going to be super sad when it finally ends. So next up
is Goblin Slayer. Mirror, mirror on the wall, where are some more fucking goblins for me to kill?
Pretty much, because it's revealed that the portal, like the beholder, was guarding.
It's not a beholder. Okay, they never called it a beholder.
Yeah,
for probably copyright reasons.
Yeah, but who are we kidding? It's a beholder. Yeah. So. The beholder was guarding this mirror, basically, it was supposed to be like a portal to the Green Moon, I think, because that's where the goblins were from. Oh, and it was just like a goblin settlement, anyway.
I think it was just a portal to a goblin settlement.
Maybe.
Because the Green Moon was, all we know is it was just a story that Goblin Slayer heard.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think we can treat it as fact.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I don't know. It could be... With this series, it could be possible, but at the same time, all that we know is it's a portal to a.
They're gonna pull a trigger. Go to space.
It's space.
Killing in space. No one can hear you scream, Goblin.
Oh man, that'd be funny.
It was a sweet ass action scene, though.
Yeah, like everybody get under the mirror.
Everybody run around doing their part. I liked when there's a goblin about to like jump on Elf.
Yeah,
and then the Bone Tooth Warrior, I think it was, like jumped in and saved her, and she's like, "Oh, it's so adorable! Aren't you cute?"
Yeah, yeah. I loved that fight because everybody. It was just like everybody try and get the mirror down, try and pry it off the wall if you can.
Even Priestess.
Yeah, even helped. Priestess helped. She got her little stick underneath it and helped pry it up with the.
Imagine how heavy that thing must be.
I imagine it must have been incredibly heavy.
Like, I don't know, a couple. I mean, it couldn't have been more than like a couple 100 pounds.
Yeah, because the lizard man had to buff up his strength and then pull on it.
Yeah, and he was able to hold it up with his his summon.
Yeah.
So like, I couldn't imagine it could have been maybe like could have been around 1,000 pounds or something.
But yeah, he was talking. But Goblin Slayer's plan of attack was pretty much just let's collapse this fucking room. We're far away from town, and let's just collapse the room and kill all the goblins here.
Use the mirror to absorb the impact because all the debris that falls on them will just go through the mirror.
Yeah,
and I think there's a point later they're like, I feel bad for the people on the other side, which were they just like, oh yeah, Jim Goblin and Jeff Goblin, your job is to guard the mirror, and they're just like sitting there playing cards, and just all of a sudden,
you just see a bunch of rocks start falling through.
Kill them.
That would have been hilarious. I'd love to just see a clip where it actually, like in an after credits scene, where it just shows like the goblins on the other side of the mirror. That would be funny. But the best part of this episode, I think, was when Goblin Slayer finally confronts the Sword Maiden about like the nature of everything that had been going on here, because he basically realizes that it was a plan to like made by the Sword Maiden to try and basically expose the cruelty of goblins.
Because was she like expecting them to die?
I don't think she was. I think she was just trying. Like, she figured that they could do it, but at the same time, they realized that nobody else would take it as seriously. I think that was her end game. But, yeah, the thing about that, though, that was so funny was he goes up to her and basically claims that, yeah, I know you're the one behind this. And she's like, how did you know? He's like, I didn't. You just confirmed it for me, though.
Gotcha, bitch.
But then she reveals that, yes, the swamp dragon, as they call it, or an alligator, was basically her familiar just patrolling the sewers to lure people away from that mirror room. But she just couldn't deal. But she was she was afraid of the goblin still to this day. And then Goblin Slayer basically says, "I can't deal with your trauma for you.
I'm not gonna save you.
But I'll kill any goblin that you ask me to.
I won't save you, but if you ever need me to kill goblins."
I think that...
it was a cool little moment, because she was like, even in my dreams, and he's like, yeah.
Yeah. And that was a night... It's at least the push she needed to try and start to get over her trauma, or at least learn to live with it.
Which, we learned how hard she went blind. They literally just held a torch up to her eyes.
Oh, God, that's right. Oh, my God, yeah.
Brutal.
Yeah, as she pointed out, goblins are ridiculously cruel, and she just wanted to show the world that.
Yeah, they spent, I think a third of the episode on that scene.
Yeah, pretty much.
Really trying to drive home her fears and how it's well, you can have someone who's at the top of the world, but they can still be afraid of spiders.
Mm-hmm.
It's irrational. That's what it is. It's an irrational fear.
Yep. But at the same time, it's an irrational fear to everyone else, but to her, it's very rational. And given her experiences and stuff, yeah, it totally makes sense. Like getting a torch, put up to your eyeballs. Yeah. Ugh, God, it's horrible.
The episode caps off with a kind of a nice note, though, because they're riding back. Goblin Slayer still has the canary.
Yeah, Goblin Slayer he still got the canary.
And then Goblin Slayer's like, I want to make some ice cream when I get back.
Yeah.
And then Elf's like, he's like, well, do you want some? She's like, Baka.
Yeah, pretty much. Tsundere Elf.
It's not like I want your ice cream or anything.
Which is funny because earlier in the episode, after the whole making the the ground collapse and then the rain, she looks at him and basically what was that all about? And he looked just kind of acknowledges I didn't use fire, water, or poison.
And she kicks him down the hill.
Yeah, she kicks.
I'll give you ice cream if you don't kick me this time.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm actually enjoying seeing Goblin Slayer, because that was a big concern I had kind of early on. He might be kind of two-dimensional, which he's stoic, but there's a way to do a stoic character right, and just kind of seeing how he slowly opens up.
Yeah. He started out kind of two-dimensional, but I think they did that on purpose.
Yeah.
To highlight his growth.
Yeah, exactly.
He's getting more friendly. He's getting more snarky. He's getting more intimate with
Priestess.
With Priestess.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Somebody had pointed out that the last episode that basically was just a date between the two of them.
Yeah.
The whole episode was framed out that way, which I agree with. It was actually a nice little moment between them.
So I don't think the story's going to end with this season.
Nah, I imagine this is probably hopefully they've got one more time for one more arc, and then they're probably using it as a test to see if people are going to want to watch another season of this. Hopefully. Which I hope so.
Yeah, I know the manga's still ongoing.
Yeah, the manga and the light novels both. Yes.
Yeah, light novel. Yeah.
Yep.
I don't actually. Is there a manga?
You said
I know there's the manga for the.
Yes, there is a manga. There is a manga.
Oh, okay.
It was at first a light novel that was eventually adapted into a manga, and now is being adapted into an anime. It's one of those. But
yeah, I know a lot of the people that watch our podcast are like to talk about Goblin Slayer. So
yeah, Goblin Slayer is great.
It's probably a lot of fans of the light novel.
Yeah, I agree. Which, as someone who's just watching the anime, I can understand that. Yeah, the light novel's probably better. I understand that some people are a little bit upset that they seem to have shuffled around an arc or are planning on skipping that arc because there's no context for the Rangers' restrictions.
Yeah, well, some things just work better in anime, and I don't know. I'm not in the production process. So.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they felt like they didn't have enough time to actually incorporate that, but who knows? Anyway, long story short, really enjoying Goblin Slayer. And next up, we've got Golden Kamuy 2. All I have to say is, did you know apparently otter meat is an aphrodisiac?
I didn't know. But I tell you what I do know, is that I think that's the manliest scene of anything this season.
But yeah, the manliest, but somehow, and the most homoerotic thing.
It's not homoerotic.
Yeah.
It's just manly, okay? It's just men appreciating the aesthetics of other men. Alright? It's manly like He-Man is manly.
Yeah, sure. I will say, but it's funny. It's like, I think this is the most homoerotic thing to come out this season, and this is the season that JoJo is
and
out.
Banana Fish.
Yeah, yeah. Right? And somehow this topped both of those things.
It was such a good scene.
It was hilarious because they were just saying, oh, it's getting a little hot in here.
Yeah. Sugimoto's brilliant idea of just like, there's just like, I have to touch a man right now. Let's sumo wrestle. They just have this scene of just like, and like, just grabbing each other.
Yeah, and just... and then later, though, just, let's never speak of this again.
But that aside, there was actually some plot in this episode with, the locusts came, and then...
that's why they went in and cooked the freaking meat in the first place.
Ashirpa used it as a good excuse to get Incarnate out into the middle of the
river or lake.
Or inlet or whatever. And then she interrogates her about her dad.
Yeah, because she believes that Noparabo is not really her father. She doesn't... Or... At least that's what I got from it.
Yeah, she doesn't want to believe that he's... That.
But then Inkarma...
Well, no. Inkarma is telling Ashirpa that he's like, no, that's not your dad. And Ashirpa's like, well, how can I believe you?
Yeah, and then she goes into like the story about how he was that he was actually half Polish, like a half Polish man, half Ainu named Wilk, who had who'd grown up in the Ainu village and stuff. And it makes me wonder... Do you think Inkarmat is her mother?
No, I think Inkarmat is just a girl that had a one-sided love with her father.
Okay,
that's pretty much what I picked up from that.
Yeah, I think that's totally possible too.
Because Inkarmat is like looks like she's about to cry when she says like he just saw me as a little girl.
Oh yeah, that's right. I'd almost forgotten about that part. That's a good point. I must have missed that because I was thinking, are they trying to reveal that Inkarmat is related to Ashirpa, like possibly her mother? Because
it definitely felt like that a little bit.
Yeah, right? Okay, so it's not just me, but I kind of, but given that little piece of advice or knowledge or whatever, yeah, it seems like more that she's just as unrequited. But she basically reveals to Ashirpa that her uncle, Kirananke, I believe his name?
Kirananke.
Yeah, is the one who supposedly killed her dad. But then... this causes a huge division between everybody in the group. Because Ashirpa decides to do the brilliant thing of openly accusing him in front of everyone.
It's very in character for Ashirpa.
It is.
She's a no bullshit woman.
Yeah. She's a new type of Ainu lady.
Yep, and that just makes, like, Kirananke is like, but then Inkarmat is probably working for Tsurumi, and then Inkarmat's like, why would you trust him? And he's like, why would you trust her? And it creates this, like, he said, she said. Like, and everybody's kind of getting suspicious of each other. Like, they even say that, or Tanigaki is, like, kind of put under fire from Ogata as well, because he's still thinking that he's working, like, he is, been seduced over to Inkarmat's side. So many, like, possible double agents and triple agents here.
Yeah, exactly. The only people whose motives we can be for sure of at the moment are Ashirpa's and Sugimoto's. But that's the problem when you kind of let more people into the party. You run the risk of a bunch of people being willing to betray you later.
Yeah, Sugimoto, though, did a pretty clever job of calming the situation down.
Exactly.
Because he's like, well... it's fine. If either of you are dead, I'll just kill the other one.
Yeah, like, exactly.
Just kidding. But everyone's like,
Like, they know that Sugimoto wouldn't hesitate to do it if it came to that. Basically, I think he's basically calling either of their bluffs. Yeah. And just basically saying, hey, if one of you does die, then I'm going to make sure that that will confirm who the traitor is, pretty much. It kind of reminds me of a little bit of a scene from the Godfather. Like, one of Don Corleone's generals or whatever, he basically says to the extent of, if somebody approaches you right away, then that person is the traitor. and that was pretty much what it kind of reminds me of, just being able to weed out who's going to betray
Ah,
you.
yes. The time-old saying of he who smelt it, dealt it.
Anywho.
The last part of it was this weird-looking, so, the eyes in the show are very stylized.
Yeah.
Because, Ogata has, that kind of Native American totem pole eyes.
And the 1,000-yard stare that goes along with them.
And then this new guy has that kind of same weird eye makeup, but it's, a little different.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not sure if that's, a stylized choice, or if it's actually eye makeup. I'm pretty sure it's just a choice.
I imagine it's a stylized choice, but
he shows up, and then he's a spy for Tsurumi, right?
Yeah, he is a spy for Tsurumi, and he's infiltrating Abashiri prison because after the fake Inudo was killed, Tsurumi ordered people to actually infiltrate and find out about Abashiri prison and Inudo.
Mm-hmm.
So this new guy shows up. He's almost immediately found out to be a traitor and working for Tsurumi. So basically, we're looking at it as that guy's going to be pig food.
Yeah, I expected him to just die right there with the prisoner because he was all meek, help, come back. And then he just grabs the guy's hammer and just murders all the prisoners.
Yeah.
Incredibly easily. And then I think that he just left.
Yeah.
Because the guy who was trying to get him killed goes up to Inudo and he's he's dead. Even though he knows he wasn't dead. He's just he probably just well, he's gone.
Mm-hmm.
I can just say he's dead now.
Yeah, sort of like Lion King with the, if you come back, we'll kill ya!
Yeah.
You get what I mean. But, and then, of course, it ends with another, Lieutenant Tsurumi's gonna scold me. Good lord, it's how many of Tsurumi's men have crushes on him?
Yeah.
It seems like every single one of them. I think the only person who hasn't really fallen for that is Ogata, because he even at the end of that the Ogata episode, he's like, "You goddamn seducer."
Or what's his face? The guy with the kind of wrinkles on his face.
Oh yeah, the one who was with Koito.
Yeah,
yeah, who was serving as Koito's translator.
Just, like I said in the last podcast episode, he's just there. He's there for everything, and he just has to be there. Yeah,
I don't know. Apparently, though, just Tsurumi has that kind of personality that just makes everybody want to be with him. But I don't know.
Next up is IRODUKU.
All right.
We finally got the big bomb drop that we've been kind of leading up to the past couple episodes.
Yup.
Of Sho, I think his name is?
Yep, Sho.
Yeah, Sho actually asking Hitomi out.
Okay.
Which I was really... like I said last time, I wasn't sure if he was actually romantically interested.
Yeah, that was where I was confused, because I was thinking, is he actually romantically interested in her, or does he just want her to be happy? Mm-hmm. Which this actually confirmed that yes, he did have some feelings for her. But the thing about that was before he was basically getting ready to spend the day with her on their independent photo shoot, which totally doesn't classify as a date, guys.
I don't think Hitomi saw it as a date at all.
No, Hitomi didn't. Yeah. And then even Kurumi and Chigusa.
Everyone else did. Literally everyone else saw it as a date.
Except Kurumi and Chigusa. One of them said, "Nah, this doesn't qualify as." It's nah, that doesn't qualify as a date. They were wondering if it was, but they didn't really see it as one.
Oh, I feel like they definitely are.
But it's let's just keep. It's all the same. Let's keep it on the down low for Asagi. Oh, which by the way. That was actually kind of hard to watch, Asagi kind of realizing that Sho liked Hitomi and not her.
Yeah, it's the theme of adolescent romance is done a lot in anime, but it's here. I feel like it's handled specifically realistically. It's so relatable. It's ridiculous. You have stuff like Toradora.
Clannad,
My Love Story. There's a bunch of other really good romance animes but those are more dramatic.
Yeah,
and kind of more like a movie. This just kind of feels like you're just watching kids grow up.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, with maybe a little bit of melodrama thrown in.
Oh, sure, yeah. When there's magic.
Exactly. There's magic. I forgot about that.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's an interesting contradiction that they have such, like, these fantastical things, but it's, like, all the person-to-person interaction is so grounded and realistic.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I think one of the best parts is, like I was getting to earlier, the show basically telling crap, I forgot his name, Yuito.
Yeah.
That, yeah, by the way, I'm going to be spending the day with Hitomi tomorrow. Like, basically, it didn't really feel like he was trying to say that out of spite or anything.
No, that was just a really... I mean, like, it could be hard to hear for Yuito, sure, but I feel like it was a really cool thing for him to do.
I agree, 100%.
It's like, I know you kind of have feelings for her, so I'm going to tell you this.
Yeah.
I'm going to, like, he didn't, like, sneak behind his back or anything. He made sure he told him first.
Yeah, cool. He didn't, it's not like he needed not necessarily like he needed his permission or anything, but at the same time, yeah, he wanted to tell his friend, yeah, I know you've got feelings for her. I have feelings for her too. I just thought that you should know that. Mm-hmm. Basically giving him an opportunity, which...
And that he didn't want to have regrets.
Exactly. Which, and even later, like, apparently... Yuito is too damn stubborn to admit his own feelings because he's talking about Hitomi with his mom later, and his mom totally gets it.
Smug anime mom.
Yeah, smug anime mom. Yeah, it was just, oh my! It's like she's a sweet. Oh, so she is a sweetie, is she? It's like, don't be aloof like your father. Which again, that was adorable.
I feel like she's the kind of mom who'd they'd be like having sex in his room, and she'd like open the door like, well.
Yeah, pretty much.
Don't mind me, and just close the door.
Yeah, just. I also liked at first I didn't like Hitomi's rejection to show, because I thought it was going to be another, the train cut him off, and you didn't actually get to hear him. Oh yeah,
because it was like he was about to say something, and it was like, Mwah! Yeah.
I mean,
and then they actually revealed it,
which again, I thought it. Like, kind of looking at that, like, I imagine, like, just the kind of system shock that's a bit of an indication of the kind of shock that she would have felt. Just like, oh my god, what? Yeah. Just like, wait, no way. And then there was even more cool, like, little framing devices. Like you see Hitomi, like, on the gondola getting ready to go up back home. But then it stops, and you see, like, the doors open. A few seconds pass, and then they shut, and she doesn't get off, but just kind of showing how lost in thought she really is.
Yeah.
I thought that was really clever.
Like, it was handled in a really good way by Sho. Like, he told her, didn't, like, go beat around the bush or anything, but, Hitomi, like, I feel like Hitomi's reaction, was kind of shitty at first.
Yeah.
And, like, I understand she was shocked and everything, and she didn't know how to handle it. Mm-hmm. But she made up for it later on. Which was cool.
Again, and yeah, a lot of it was just her trying to sort out through her own feelings, because she never felt like that before, or even had that kind of stuff happen to her before, which is actually really hilarious, because she was talking to Kohaku about it in the middle of class, and then it's like, well, what would you do? It's like, well, for starters, I'd have this conversation in a room with less people. Yeah. And what's even fun here is it cuts over to other guys in the class, and you see like some of them just like kind of like face palming or just going, geesh, like, really? And you have another guy like patting his friend on the back, like, it's like, oh man, it's like, I wanted to ask her out. Just, it's obvious people like her in class, it was just a little funny detail. But
yeah, it's nice little tension.
Yeah, the best part of this, though, is kind of realizing, like, when Sho is talking with Asagi later, like, about how it's like, oh, you went to that place again. And then he basically says something to the effect of, you can't take the same photo twice. And it made me realize, like, probably a little late, but the show is all about trying to learn to live in the moment and try to capture those moments when they show up, and using photography as that framing device to do that. Because like with photography, at least the way that Sho explains it, things can happen in just like a split second, and it'll be that moment, that perfect moment might be gone immediately, and you might have completely missed it. Mm-hmm. It's a clever framing device for what I think is a really cool message.
Yeah, that was probably entirely intended.
I almost imagine that too. And and then there was also a nice little moment when Hitomi is talking with Asagi about how she's feeling later. But Asagi kind of connecting the dots by just seeing the picture she took on her camera and realizing, oh god, that's who Sho went with.
Yeah, I hope that Sho and Asagi don't end up together. Or at least not immediately. Maybe give it a few years or a year or two.
Yeah, because Asagi needs to work out her issues.
Well, and you don't want to just be
pity.
Nobody wants to be the rebound.
Exactly. And I think the best scene though is when Yuito and Sho are on the roof, and he's like, yeah, I just got rejected. And then it's like, yeah, you're really something. The wind instruments really playing, aren't they? And then Sho gets up and, he times his scream with the wind instrument, but everybody stops and just hears him screaming.
Yeah, I imagine his plan was, I'll just keep screaming while they're playing, but, after the first scream, everyone's like, what the fuck was that? And they're Aah!
It's like, yeah, me too, dude.
Yeah, that's another, like I said before, a really relatable thing. It's I feel like everyone's been there, at least if you've been around on the planet Earth for,
yeah,
even 13-year-olds probably have been there before. It's I hate the world, everything sucks, you just gotta get it out of your system.
Yeah, I just want to scream. I mean, but more often than not, we don't really do that because it's not socially appropriate.
Yeah.
But I hope that I hope that Hitomi and Asagi kind of talk things out and stuff like that, and they're able to work some problems out, because Hitomi is probably distraught at the fact that she hurt Asagi, actually, because she never intended to do that.
And then Asagi's probably mad at herself for being mad at Hitomi.
Yeah, exactly. And again, these are all just super real feelings. I think it's kind of hilarious, though, that Ichigo is kind of taking backseat again here. Because it is Ichigo's voice actress playing Asagi.
Yeah, it's true. Come back next week for more Timesink romance advice.
Anyway, so next up?
Next up is JoJo Golden Wind. Gotta meet fucking Papa Pericolo Crazy Eyes.
Oh my god. His eyes drove me crazy. I could not just...
Which one am I supposed to follow?
Yeah.
They're both looking in different directions.
Yeah, just... I don't get it. But the biggest part of this episode is they finally got the fortune. It took them a few episodes, but they found Popo's fortune.
I expected more of a searching process for it or something. I didn't think that Bucciarati would be like, oh yeah, it's right here.
Yeah.
I used Zipperman to put it in the toilet.
You mean Sticky Fingers. Zipperman. It's like, that would explain why nobody found it. But
yeah, it's pretty clever.
Yeah, it was pretty clever. And then we get revealed later that that Trish is somebody to be worried about now. She is the daughter of the unknown boss of Passione, but now since Bucciarati is taking over Popo's territory,
and Bucciarati got officially promoted to capo.
Yep, just because, hey, I have a shitload of money now. But it all went to the organization, and they talked about how 50% of whatever you make will be going to you, and the other 50% will be going to the organization. Just again, more politics,
mafia politics.
Yeah.
I mean, 50. That's still a lot of money, probably. Just all the casino operations and stuff.
Oh,
50% of just keeping all that business. That's so much money.
I know, it's got to be insane.
But I guess when you're a capo, you still probably have to pay your guys and
exactly
out of your pocket, probably.
Yeah, I imagine so. Which I wonder how that's going to play out in the future, because Giorno still has his plans to ascend to the top of Passione himself, which makes me wonder, how is he going to use Bucciarati to try and do that?
I don't think
that he's going to maliciously use Bucciarati, but I think he does recognize Bucciarati as a bit of a step to that path.
Well, no, I don't think he's going to get there by himself. I think he just wants to get there in general.
Yeah.
Which, even if, because Bucciarati and everybody know about this plan, they're all on board. I guess, maybe the other people besides Giorno and Bucciarati are probably, not super they don't really care either way. But Bucciarati's definitely on board, so they're probably both going to go up together.
Yeah, I imagine so. But the other really cool thing is that Pulpo is basically they describe as like, well, now that you're in charge of Pulpo's territory, you don't have to take on any jobs he left unresolved before, which in this case was protecting Trish. So a big part of the episode was trying to figure out like, okay, how do we hide Trish until we figure out like who are the traitors in the organization, how can we kill them, and how are we going, and basically just trying to play the waiting game.
Which Trish turns out to be a spoiled brat.
Oh, God. Yeah, just get me these specific... She's a mob daughter, pretty much.
Yeah.
Or just like, Daddy, give me all this shit. Like, really expensive, high-end
like,
stuff.
All this is like, I need this specific brand of makeup and...
This specific brand of stockings.
Yeah.
Just, oh my God. And she's having Narancia, of all people, do it. Which, fun fact, Narancia is voiced by Deku. Like
yeah. Pointing that out.
Yeah.
A little bit different of a character.
Yeah, totally different.
From like formal to crazy.
Completely insane. We actually get to see Narancia in action this episode.
Oh yeah, I got to see his stand Aerosmith.
Yep, Aerosmith, which I don't even remember what they called it.
Yeah, I don't either. I just heard Aerosmith and then like clicked in my head.
You asked if it was something else at first. Like I was like, no, it's Aerosmith.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just a plane that is able of shooting really powerful bullets and even small bombs.
Yeah, I think it's like, just like straight up, just like a 9mm like kind of bullets, because it was like tearing the seats up. They might be a little weaker than a handgun, but yeah, the bomb definitely wasn't.
Yeah,
it just came and dropped a bomb and blew up the entire car.
And then he was looking around like where. I don't remember what it was exactly that like set him off. Like
the guy just was in his car,
and then he punched him in the face or something.
No, he was just like, oh wait, did he?
Yeah, something like that, and it caused him to go.
Oh yeah, like he cut him a little bit.
Yeah, he's like,
on the face.
"How dare you, son of a bitch!"
Yeah, and he just started freaking out.
Yeah, started kicking the side of the car and so.
That was just like, oh, fuck you. And then he like punches the window.
Yeah,
when he gets his foot injured.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it turns out the Formaggio is the name of the guy,
and his stand Little Feet.
Yeah, which is a American rock band, I believe it is.
I think so,
yeah,
but
I didn't recognize any of their stuff.
But he has the ability to shrink himself, and then he hid in Narancia's pocket. Was able to determine that you bought all this stuff. It's like, wait, this couldn't have been for his sister, right? Because
this is all high-end shit.
And it's like girls don't typically... Yeah, it's like... And girls almost exclusively want to buy their own stuff because they know their own tastes and stuff. They wouldn't just... So he basically is buying it for somebody important.
Someone that can't leave where they want to be.
And
but it was a little bit of a leap, I feel like, but he was like, aha, one truth prevails.
Yeah, pretty much.
I know exactly what this means now.
Yeah, now all I have to do is just try and follow where Narancia is.
Yeah, well, I think it could also been, the fact that he knew that Narancia was one of Bucciarati's men. And Bucciarati's, like, taking the job.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. He knew that Bucciarati was looking for... And, we're basically there's some infighting going on in the Passione organization, and probably trying to use Trish as a bargaining tool.
Yeah, because now it's no longer about Pulpo's fortune.
It is now about Trish.
Yeah.
Which, I imagine that if they're able to successfully keep Trish alive and safe, then they're probably going to raise higher in the organization, or at least be seen as trustworthy.
Trish, I feel like she's going to get a stand.
You think so?
Because in the opening, they specifically show all the main characters.
Yeah.
The stand users, so they also show her. And I feel like later on the opening's going to... Because JoJo openings are notorious for changing.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel like later on, they're going to have her in the opening with a stand.
Yeah,
that's just my little guess.
Kind of like what they did with in part 4 with Koichi. Like when he first shows up, like he doesn't have a stand, but
and like the first, like when you see that opening without him as doing a stand, he just kind of like leans awkwardly.
Yeah, he's just awkwardly posing.
Yeah. Like something's missing.
Yeah, and then when he finally does pose with his stand, it's like, oh, okay. Yeah. Which, by the way, speaking of Koichi, he just kind of doesn't exist anymore.
I'm so glad. I was a little worried that the series was just going to be like, oh, it's JoJo Part 4, but with Italian people.
Maybe.
But I'm glad they just used that kind of as a bridging tool to go into the next seasons more smoothly.
Yeah, maybe. I think the other really interesting thing here, though, is if Trish does become a stand user, she'll be at least the first major character in the plot that is a female stand user. Because there have been female stand users in the past.
Hair Girl.
Yeah. Yuyuko.
She was kind of important.
Mm-hmm. I stand corrected.
She wasn't like a main character though.
Yeah, which is actually going to be interesting setup for part 6, Jolene, who is the next Jo.
Yeah.
And that's going to be fascinating to see. But I hope that she's actually more of a more prevalent and hopefully interesting character than Yukiko was. I wasn't a big fan of Yukiko.
Yeah, well, yeah, I guess I can't really use the evidence of them being in the opening because Yukio was also in the opening.
Yeah.
And Trish is also in the opening. Well, Trish is in the ending, too.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe we'll find out, though, soon.
Yeah.
But, because it seems like the next episode is basically going to be like, how will Narancia get out of this mess?
Yeah, it's Narancia is slowly shrinking down.
Oh, yeah.
At the end of the episode, the guy's like, oh, yes, my little feet are starting to take effect, and it shows Narancia shrink down a little bit.
Yeah, and he doesn't notice it, which is weird, but all right. So, next up, Karakuri Circus. All right. I'm slowly just starting to get not as invested in this series.
Oh, really? I'm loving it.
I like the action bits and stuff. That's all really cool, but a lot of the character stuff just seems a little too rushed for my personal taste. Like one of the members of Nakamachi Circus, Lise, reveals that she had a sister who was killed by a tiger, and that's why she's afraid to tame wild beasts these days.
Yeah, that part I don't know why. Like maybe they're probably trying to set it up in a way where the Nakamachi Circus characters are going to become more prevalent to the plot.
But I would have liked it a lot more had we spent more. It would have made a lot more sense had we just spent like a few episodes with the members of the Nakamachi Circus rather than splitting attention between the Nakamachi Circus and then the Shirogane that Narumi is now a part of.
Yeah, it feels like they're trying to tell two separate stories that they're going to eventually weave together.
Yeah, which we've talked about before, which again isn't necessarily a bad idea. It's just a kind of an awkward way to do it. I remember in Aragon, or the Inheritance cycle, specifically in Eldest, when they were telling one person's story and then telling another person's story. The thing is, though, you spent enough time with both of them to actually get attached to what they were going through. Here, you don't really have that much time.
Yeah. Maybe it works better in the original source material.
Maybe, but as far as we know, it's just a little clumsily handled. Because, and this whole time, or at least in the opening bit, Shirogane is talking with Vilma about Narumi. It's like, oh, this person's dead. He meant a lot to me, but now he's dead.
Yeah.
It kind of takes away the punch when you know. Yeah. It kind of takes away the punch when you know he's alive. On one hand, I want to be able to sympathize with Shirogane because we as the audience know, yes, we as the audience know that yes, Shirogane is obviously upset,
and she actually thinks he's dead.
Yeah,
but it's a little hard to sympathize when you actually know he's not dead.
Exactly. It would have been, I feel like it would have been a lot more effective had it been revealed later that Narumi was still alive, and then maybe, kind of Tarantinoing a little bit, saying, this is what Narumi was up to this whole time.
Yeah. So, later in this episode, they had we'll go back to the fight, but they had, the plane crash.
Oh, yeah.
So, the plane crash would have been the perfect moment to have Narumi just show up.
Yeah.
Just out of nowhere, with no context for his puppet arm. No context for anything. They can tell us that later in a flashback or something.
Yeah, like a couple episodes of them just revealing what Narumi's been up to while this has been
exactly.
happening.
They could have just done I don't know. I hesitate to call it a filler, but they could have just made it so these up to this point has just been the whole Nakamachi Circus kind of getting more attached to those characters. And then all of a sudden it's like, boom, Narumi's alive. I feel like every week we talk about they should have done this. This would have been a better idea.
Which I think that's part of being a critic is you kind of have to acknowledge what something does right and what something does wrong. The things that I think they did right here was the action sequences. Actually,
yeah,
If they were a little bit insane and kind of nonsensical, but it was still a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, it was like, okay, we're in a plane, alright. Plane is filled with seats. Filled with them. And then, like, the puppets show up and start attacking, and all of a sudden it's like, I guess we're in a warehouse now? Like, there's, like, 100 feet both ways of free space.
It's like, I'm sorry, what?
Yeah. It's like, oh, yes, I see you found our kickball field in our airplane. Everyone has them.
I want to imagine that they took out those seats and got rid of them somehow, maybe threw them out the window or something, because the window did get exploded.
But it was like, there was no like marks on the floor of like chairs being ripped up or parts of chairs being cut up or anything. It was just clean floor. It was like a blue AstroTurf field.
Yeah, pretty much. It was a little bit.
It was dumb. That being said, fucking awesome fight scene.
Yeah, because the whole time Narumi is trying to. It's like, let's make a game of this, because like every time we hit you, we're gonna break one of these kids' fingers. Mm-hmm. So try not to get hit. But then Guy basically goes up and says, no, break some of my fingers instead, because I'm a Shirogane and therefore more valuable. Think of all the people that I've killed using my two hands.
Yeah, think of all the puppets I've destroyed.
Yeah.
Specifically is what he said.
Yeah.
I think his name is Guy.
Yeah.
It's like spelled Guy.
Yeah. But it's supposed to be like French.
Narumi always calls him Guy.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe that's just their way of pronouncing it.
But that whole fight of like every time Narumi got hit, they just like broke his fingers. Like every time it happened, I just cringed like, ugh.
Yeah, but at the same time, just how little pain that he actually showed. Yeah. It makes me wonder if Guy or Guy, however his name is supposed to be pronounced, also has aquavitae in his blood as well.
I don't know if he does actually, because he didn't seem to heal that fast. Really, like the whole fight, his fingers were still broken.
Yeah, and even when after the fight in the plane, and then more of them show up, these insectoid automata start showing up and start attacking the engines. You see Guy go up and still just using his puppet with 3 fingers.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, just all flying around, shooting at the
like
little
a Gundam,
drones.
like a bunch of explosions. In the sky.
Exactly. And then the last one, like saying, "Oh, you're gonna run out of bullets eventually." And then him making it look like he ran out of bullets, only to reveal it's like, I didn't actually run out of bullets. Fooled you.
I'm assuming probably all the main characters are fine. Because it crashed down, and then Narumi ended up like saving Shirogane and Masaru. Yeah, I don't like that scene very much
because he just starts running into the mist again, and you can clearly see his silhouette.
Why not reveal that you're alive? Like, I guess he's probably gonna say something along the lines of, "I have a job to do. I can't tell them," or maybe he doesn't remember who they are. Actually,
he does remember. Like, he has said, yeah, that is true. He has said though that every night he dreams of a kid with an awesome smile and a girl with silver eyes or something.
He probably didn't. He probably doesn't remember now that I think about it.
Yeah, or he was just in a rush to try and save people. Which, again, kind of makes sense, given who he is.
It was still frustrating, though. Just stop. Just stop for a second. Like,
I mean, Guy might be dead because, like, there was the whole thing of him, him taking the guy who was going to self-destruct to the last engine, and going towards the ocean and then it exploding.
I don't trust anyone to be dead in this show anymore.
Yeah, the narrative stakes of death are pretty shallow.
Yeah. I'm just enjoying the ride.
Yeah, enjoying the spectacle. Yeah. I agree. I mean, which again, how fitting because it's a circus.
Also, I absolutely love Shirogane's voice actress.
Oh yeah.
Like, I don't know. I don't know what else she's done. I just really love her voice. It's really it's really fun to listen to. It has a very interesting tone to it.
I agree, and I also want to say that it's interesting. The automata apparently need human blood to function or something, but they don't like the taste of Shirogane blood.
I think it's probably poisonous to them.
I imagine so.
Because the guy sucked it up and he's just like, oh no, this is the worst thing that could happen.
Yeah, pretty much. I just imagine. And then also seeing Lucille, like just how deadly she is despite being an old witch. Like, It's like, if you stab me, you'll make me self-destruct. It's like, we've been studying you for years. We know we know all your weak points, and we know how to disassemble you without making you
that was
explode.
really cool.
And just like ripping out his guts pretty much. Oh man.
She has more character than I expected her to.
Yeah, I was expecting her to just be like kind of an old witch, which she kind of is.
I think it's going to be... I hope it's going to be an interesting meetup when her and Shirogane meet up, because like that was the girl who, or the old lady was the one who like whipped her hands all the time and stuff when she was a kid. And then
it'll be interesting to think if Guy is still alive, because it's certainly heavily alluded to that he was her teacher.
I don't think he's gonna die. I doubt he's dead.
I agree, because again, it doesn't seem like any major characters are going to die.
Yeah.
Maybe they're luring us into a false sense of security.
Yeah, maybe later on, like,
oh crap, somebody actually can die.
Dad?
Holy shit.
Dad? You're gonna come back to life now, aren't you, Dad?
Dad? Time to get home. Oh my god. So next up?
Next up is Run with the Wind, which we started off with Haiji telling Jiro and Taro, they're like, alright, this is what happened with Kakudu and Prince. Don't tell anybody. And then it's like, 2 minutes later, they're like, immediately telling everybody at the lunch table.
Yeah, and then it's just like, and then he's like, so what did Haiji say? It's like, yeah, keep this on the down low and don't tell anybody. Oh shit.
Oh, you said it first.
Yeah. Those two were idiots, is all I have to say. But then there was a huge moment, though, here for Kakudu. Like, again, we get another race, which, again, it's interesting to see this show actually make something like people running around in circles actually seem like real and interesting to watch somehow.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I brought this up in the episode with the first race when they were running around, and just how they gave like that weight and just how exhausting it all was.
Yeah.
Like, even if it's not the most interesting like sport to watch, there's still some kind of dramatic stakes to it that make it actually
it's the characters.
Invested.
It's the characters that make it interesting. The characters and the stakes behind everything.
Exactly. But everybody's like off practicing, and then Haiji says something to the effect of, all right, here are the people who are actually going to be participating in the next race. It was Yuki, the twins, and Musa, and was that it? Was there only those four? Or?
I think there's... Oh, and
not Kim.
The shorter brown-haired guy.
Oh, yeah. I forgot whose name escapes me right now. Yeah, I feel terrible, but yeah, just... And then Kakeru gets pissed off about it, like saying, what? It's like, why not? Why aren't you going to let me run? And
it's also further compounding on just a few, like in that same scene, Kakeru was looking at his times and they were going down.
Yeah.
So he was just like, he just couldn't stop going. He was going and going and going and going.
Yeah, and then Haiji basically says, you need to take a break, pretty much. Like, just take a second and actually try to watch.
Yeah, I think Haiji's plan was he picked out a bunch of people that needed to just sit back and just watch everyone. Yeah. They just needed to get an outside perspective of everything.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly how they framed it as later, because Haiji wanted Kakeru. Haiji basically said said something to Kakeru is, when you're running, you're always just keeping track of what's ahead. You don't really have a chance to just you don't really have a chance to see, or at least for you haven't really had a chance to see what's going on around you. You haven't really had a chance to just kind of stop and look, which that plays a big part, because Kakeru, like during the race, he's kind of pouty and stuff, but then he starts looking and he sees like how hard everyone's trying and stuff in the race, and he just kind of, his eyes open. He wakes up, so to speak, like Haiji had told him a couple episodes ago, which was a relief, because then he starts cheering for everybody, like along with everyone else.
Yeah, because as soon as he realizes that, like, because I think it was last episode when he was saying like everybody's running half-assed out there, and then this is the moment where we finally realize it's like
no, everybody's is trying their absolute best here.
Yeah, and then once like King and Nico start like screaming and just cheering for everybody, then.
He slowly kind of gets up, but then he starts cheering, and then Prince is cheering, just kind of meekly cheering.
And Prince is like, "Yay, yeah!" And like Haiji's just like swinging his arm around in circles, like, go, it's the last lap.
and later everybody's talking about how embarrassing that was, but at the same time how much they appreciated it. And Kakaroo and Prince kind of look at each other and kind of acknowledge, like, yeah, they've had some issues, but they're gonna work them out. Like,
well, I really like that Kakaroo said, was like, I agree that was in the heat of a moment, but I still mean what I said. I'm doing this in my own way, which I don't think he wants Prince to necessarily quit, because I mean, like, he didn't get a time anyways in that race.
Yeah.
But I think he still, like, I don't necessarily take it entirely back what I said, like, because Kakaroo's to the point where he doesn't believe that anyone's going half-heartedly, but he still doesn't think they're going to make it.
Yeah, which again is kind of realistic, because nobody here actually set records at that point either. Yeah, they were close, but it was just out of reach for them.
This whole time Haiji's saying, like, "Oh, I believe you can do it. You can do it. I believe everything." And realistically, you think that Haiji should probably be thinking along the lines of Kakaroo as well. Like, these guys aren't very fast; they're not going to make it. Like, realistically, it doesn't look like these guys are going to make it in time.
Yeah, I think which is what brings up an interesting point, because at the very end of the episode, we see, like, Haiji cooking dinner and stuff for everybody, and then he collapses. Like, because earlier in the race, like, he was looking at stuff, but then, like, his eyes started to blur and focus. He's just like, ugh. And he had to, like, kind of recompose himself. Here he actually collapsed.
Yeah, it's because, like, everyone... it's really clever from a writing perspective, too, because throughout the show, we're seeing everyone go through the problems, and Haiji's supporting all of them. It's all focused on how Haiji's helping people, and
even Nico, like, who's been starving himself. There was actually a really funny moment when Haiji, like, comes, like, looking for him intentionally.
He pulls a girlfriend and, like, brings him lunch.
Yeah, and he's all, like, in his apron and stuff like that. And
it's just all throughout this entire show, we've just been seeing Haiji go out of his way to try to improve everyone else's.
Like he was the one who set up the schedule. He's the one who kind of has taken their, like, nutrition and stuff.
He cooks all their meals, literally all their meals.
Yeah. Just all this insane stuff, but then he finally collapses here. Yeah. Like, which brings up an interesting thing that Fujioka said. Lead the team with Haiji when he was talking to Kakaroo. I think because he knows Haiji and probably knew that Haiji was going to overwork himself. He needed somebody else to kind of share the burden. But Kakaroo wasn't in a good place to actually do that, though.
Yeah.
So I think next episode is going to be mainly focusing on, like, everybody realizing, holy crap, Haiji really has been putting in a lot. Maybe Kakaroo realizing that I need to help him.
Yeah, actually stop being so selfish.
Yeah.
Because that's the only way I can describe how he's been acting, is selfish.
Yeah, exactly. Which is interesting, because Haiji started off, I thought, as being the kind of selfish one.
Yeah.
But
we were talking about this last episode.
Yeah, exactly. But I've really enjoyed this. So next up is SSSS.Gridman.
This was a really
trippy episode at first.
Mostly plot-focused episode.
Yeah. We get to see a little bit of, like, I don't know exactly how to explain it. At first, I was like, wait, are we watching the first episode again?
Yeah.
Because it was exactly like the setup to the first episode. But instead of Rika being the one to wake Yuta up, it was Akane.
Yeah, it was, like, almost shot for shot.
Yeah.
The first episode, but just... Except for, like, when I think Rika said, like, yeah, we were friends before. Whereas Akane said, like, yeah, we're dating.
Yeah. No, Rika had said we were just classmates.
Oh, was it?
Yeah. Because him and like, those two have never been close, actually. Or hadn't been close beforehand. Hope they actually change that, because I actually think that'd be adorable, but whatever. But yeah, Akane says, no, we were dating. That watch was something I used to wear, I gave to you and you used to wear all the time.
Yeah, they made a big point of him having a normal watch.
Yep, instead of, like, his Gridman watch. Then we get to see as well, like, Akane and Sho, like, living out their ideal life as well, like them
Sho's ideal life.
Yeah, Sho, like, bonding over bonding over their mutual love of kaiju together. Kind of like the scene in the comic book shop a couple episodes ago. It was just like that, except extended.
Yeah, and just her getting closer to Sho, and then Rika. I think Rika's was just they've been friends their whole life.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the gist of it.
And she just, which also brings up an interesting thing when Akane and Rika were just at their house, or at Akane's house, and it's like, my parents aren't home. And it's like, but I have someone to take care of me, Alexis. And it's just Alexis, not like in disguise or anything. It's just Alexis.
It's just cosplay. Don't worry.
Yeah, it's just cosplay. But
so there's a really cool scene when they all like figured it out. Yuta, he has like this feeling of, now there's something more important I have to do.
Yeah.
And Sho's realizing this
is too good to be true.
Too good to be true. And then I don't remember how Rika figured it out.
I think Rika had I don't know. I think Rika had just kind of realized that she had other friends aside from Akane or something to that effect. Yeah. And she just felt like something was missing.
Yeah, but they all figured it out, and then there was a really cool sequence where they're all running, and it was entirely it was just kind of not so detailed outlines, but Yuta's was filled entirely in red.
Yeah,
there was like a red lighting.
Yeah,
Sho's was all green, then Rika's was all blue.
Yeah, that was a really cool detail.
Yeah.
Just again,
that's probably my favorite shot of the episode.
Yeah,
even including the fights.
Yeah, no kidding. What else was really cool was the Neon Genesis Junior High School was just kind of watching over their unconscious bodies because they realized that Kane's using a kaiju to basically keep them in this dreamlike state.
And the kaiju itself was in
a dream state pretty much. And wasn't even doing any real damage or anything, just kind of flying through. Yeah,
it didn't actually start doing damage until everybody broke out of their dream.
And basically they were actually fighting it, which caused Gridman to show up in the dream world. And then and then it was just basically we're in a dream world, but we're not really dreaming anymore sort of deal. I guess sort of like lucid dreaming, being able to control what happens in the dream. It's kind of what it's kind of what it's kind of how they explained it. It was insane though.
The big action sequence of the episode was the Neon Genesis Junior High though, when they're like, we'll just go in without Gridman, it's fine.
And then they combined together to...
I did not expect that.
I wasn't either. They just combined together to form a little you said it looked like Optimus Prime.
It looked like 90% like Optimus Prime.
Right?
Especially the head. The head was so Optimus Prime.
Yeah, no kidding. But it was still really cool to watch. And Auntie is having still his existential crisis. Why won't Gridman show up? Where's Gridman? Blah, de blah. Again, he's super two-dimensional at this point. And then they're all no, Gridman won't fight you because you're a living being with a human heart. And he's like, no, I'm a kaiju. But... Yeah, I wonder... I guess if that's just what he's programmed to believe. Because he was created, obviously. Yeah. So, it's... Why is he so intent on killing Gridman is what I want to know. I want it to be more than just, I'm programmed to hate Gridman, so I'm going to hate Gridman. There's got to be more of a reason to it, but I personally haven't seen any of it yet. But anyway, episode ends, and then they were trying to basically say, they realize, well, we're all awake from the dream, but there's still one person that hasn't woken yet. And Akane.
She's awake?
No, they were referring to Akane, saying that she's basically trapped in a world of her own delusion.
Oh, Akane, yeah. I always get Rika and Akane confused.
Yeah, no.
Riko's so close to the episode, though.
Yeah.
I have something I want to tell everyone, which I'm assuming she's going to tell him that she was created.
Yeah, I imagine so. Which, I don't know. This show has been a lot of fun to watch. And I wasn't expecting it to, judging from the first episode.
Oh, yeah. I think it's going to end on a solid note, probably.
Exactly.
As long as they don't go to space. Don't go to space, please.
Yeah, don't go to space. I'd be okay if they fought on the moon.
Or the city in the sky.
Yeah. That'd be cool.
So, next up is Sword Art Online Alicization.
A decent episode, actually.
Yeah, I like the little beginning how I said before I was worried that they weren't going to expand more on the imagination system, but it was cool. Kirito's like, yeah, what's his face? The
Humbert and
no, the guy they fought before. The guy
Volo?
Volo, yeah. He's like, Volo has his family. Lena.
Yeah.
He's like, she has her like want to express her own unique sword style.
Yeah.
And then Yu-Gi-Oh is actually having a conflict of like,
he doesn't.
What do I have?
Yeah. Yeah, he doesn't really have much at the moment. Like, and that's what he's kind of worried. He's just kind of like a replication of Kirito. Is what he's worried about. He doesn't really have anything of his own.
Which there might actually just be more truth to that.
Yeah,
because they might have like programmed him to be
like an AI copy of Kirito to kind of help inspire Kirito inside this game.
Yeah, because I actually thought that not just in the writing itself. I don't know if it might be actually intentional, but because in the beginning I thought it was a bad thing that he's slowly starting to turn into like a Kirito number 2.
Mm-hmm.
That might actually be an important plot point.
Maybe. I don't know. Like, I still would have liked to I'd feel a little bit more connected to this character and his plot point had we actually been a little bit more like connected to him and actually had some time like kind of developing his and Kirito's friendship and stuff like that. But we just find, and we're only just now getting an episode really dedicated to Yu-Gi-Oh!
Mm-hmm.
Like, which I'm actually a little bit happy for, but at the same time I still feel it's like, we could have done this a little bit sooner, or even spend a little bit more time just exploring the relationship between these two characters. It feels a little awkward to me. Like, but we do get to see a really cool like fight between him and Humbert, though.
Isn't Humbert a cheese?
I think it's Camembert.
I think I'm combining like Humboldt and I don't know. Anyway, yeah, he fights. Yu-Gi-Oh's like, so first they were kind of picking on him, like, oh, look at his crappy sword style. I bet it's probably from all that tree whacking he did.
Yeah, exactly. They're just being stereotypical pretentious nobles.
And then Yu-Gi-Oh actually handles it pretty well. He's like, well, why don't you just come at me then?
Yeah, he's just like,
come at me, bro.
Yeah, just pretty much. I mean, in a polite way. It's like it'd be an honor for you to teach me. Like, but obviously just sort of going, yeah, try me. It's like, come on, try me, bitch.
Yeah.
But yeah, the two of them actually fight to a standstill. Like, Yu-Gi-Oh looks like he's about to win, actually, because this whole thing was basically him testing the conceit behind
their power.
Yeah, just the idea that they are inherently superior just because they're nobles.
Yeah, which is really interesting that they get their power literally from smugness.
Yeah.
They're like, we're better than you, so I'm obviously stronger than you.
Now to be fair, that there is in other games, other like movies and stuff where they deal with nobles kind of thinking that they are superior, there is some degree to that, of truth to that, because nobles more often than not usually had higher access to education, better access to like the finest tutors and stuff like that. So there is a lot of privileges and stuff that they have that others are not. In Trails of Cold Steel, they kind of show how some nobles, like why some nobles think that way and why they have that inherent superiority. And it's like usually there's superiority that they can back up because they are legitimately well trained because they have that at their disposal.
Yeah, which that probably feeds more into their arrogance.
Yeah, exactly. Which again, so there's a little bit of actual skill there, just kind of brought more into their imagination system. Which,
because they are in, like, as arrogant as they are, they made it into the Sword Academy.
Yeah. Which,
who knows, maybe their dad bought them in. But from what we saw from Humbert, it looks like they actually have sword skills.
Yeah, I agree. Which, there's some, so, like, again, it would have been nice to see more of these characters. Like, they're just the first and second seat, and it's like, huh. I'd kind of like to see how they got to the first and second seat. Did they buy their way there? Or are they just there because they're that powerful? We never really seen any of them like spar with anybody. So how did they determine?
Yeah. Wasn't Volo first seat before?
Yeah, Volo was the first seat.
And then he graduated.
Yeah.
So they became the first and second seat. Yeah.
Yep, pretty much.
Yeah.
Which these characters are just they're about as stereotypical noble bullies as you can get.
Yeah.
Like, not only are they just generic bullies, they're generic noble bullies. Wonderful.
Maximum smug.
Yeah, exactly.
So I got a little bit disappointed in this episode by Tease and Ronnie.
Oh yeah.
They're just turning out to be more damsels in distress.
Yeah.
Because
I don't know so much about Ronnie, but Tease definitely.
Wasn't it Ronnie's friend?
Okay, yeah, it was.
Yeah, and they're both like, well, Humbert's being an asshole, and there's absolutely no way we can stop him. So we need your help, Kirito and Kirito number 2.
Yeah, pretty much. That is pretty much what it boiled down to, because it was revealed that the servant or page to Humbert is actually Ronnie's friend, and also basically being sexually harassed by her mentor.
Yeah, getting forced to massage him,
and stuff
in
like
her
that.
Underwear.
Yep.
Which that was I think my favorite scene in the episode. Was the scene where Yu-Gi-Oh and Kirito confront them about it.
Yeah,
and they're just kind of like just laying down in their fancy room, like, oh, why are you here? And like, it's kind of an interesting political situation because they can't just go out and say, like, you raped this girl. Yeah. Because then they can be brought up for charges of, like, well, he accused us of this and this and this. Yeah, exactly. So they kind of have to, like, dance around the situation of how do we present this as an obstacle or as a problem without them just wheedling their way out of it.
Exactly. Like, and ultimate... Because they are technically acting within the rules of the school, which again,
that's like a huge theme of this episode, I think.
Yeah, pretty much. How do you work within the rules without actually breaking them? But how do you still manage to loophole your way through everything?
Yeah, and that was a big struggle Yu-Gi-Oh had in that scene. Was he was trying to figure out, because Yu-Gi-Oh, he seems like a very much like a very much for the rules. Yeah. A stickler, is the word I was thinking.
Yeah, okay.
But he's struggling of, well, should I just go punch these guys?
No.
For justice? Or should I follow the rules?
Yeah. I actually do like that that Kirito, when he's talking with Tease, Ronnie, and Yu-Gi-Oh about the situation, how, because Tease is revealed to be a member of a distant noble family as well. They enjoy some privileges, but they're definitely seen as lower ranking nobles,
upper middle class citizens.
Yeah, exactly. But then he talks about she's all talking about how her dad, in her belief, in his belief system, and then Kirito. It's actually interesting, the idea of noblesse oblige, aka noble obligation, which is it is the duty of the strong to protect those who are weak. So those who with power have to protect those without. Which, again, is a fascinating concept. I actually like that. And, again, referring back to Trails of Cold Steel, they also touch on the idea of noblesse oblige. But here it's actually... I was thinking, oh, man, what they're describing sounds like noblesse oblige. It's like, oh, that is actually what it is.
It's literally what he says.
Yeah. But, unfortunately, it also ends with quite possibly the dumbest reason to want to get married.
Yeah, it was Tease, desperately kind of reaching out for Yu-Gi-Oh. She's like, well, what if I get married to some kind of shitty guy like this?
Like Humbert.
Yeah, and
if you get high enough if you win in the tournament or whatever and get high enough in the rankings, then you'll actually be promoted to noble, or you'll be considered a noble, so then you could legally marry me.
Yeah, and it's just like that. And then Yu-Gi-Oh is like, okay, and that's just that's not healthy at all. No. I'm sure that's what they were going for, because it's just the whole scene just felt uncomfortable to watch.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be an interesting point of contention later on where Yu-Gi-Oh has to realize that that's not a thing that can just happen.
Yeah.
And also he can't just go around making these obligations. He needs to go save Alice.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the main goal here.
And I think he even realizes this while talking with her. But I think the biggest problem with that scene is just, again, I'd feel a little bit more connected with these characters and what they're going through if we actually had time to explore their characters. We just got introduced to Ronnie and Tease last episode.
Yeah.
I do not have a connection with them as of right now, so I have no incentive to actually sympathize with what they're going through at the moment.
Moral of the story, slow down.
Yeah, just, again, SAO has always had a problem with pacing, I think, and while the fight scenes and stuff have been kind of cool, it just hasn't, I think the choreography has been kind of lacking, mainly because there isn't as many, like, using the environment and stuff like that. It's usually been flat rooms, but...
Yeah, that's true.
But overall, like, the sword fights and displays and stuff have been really cool. And last episode with Volo and Lena, like, and that just bit of stare down between the two of them, that was really well handled. But
it seems like the end of this season is probably going to wrap up, and they're going to figure out this whole Humbert situation next episode probably, and then maybe like set it up so it's moving into the next core.
I imagine
like
so.
The next big plot point or whatever.
Which is,
I think, Alice, right?
Right? You'd think so, but this is supposed to be scheduled for like 36 episodes, I think.
Well, in the opening it says like
beginning.
Beginning, yeah. So this core is probably just them getting set up to actually do the plot.
Yeah. The plot's this way, guys.
Find more girls. Because I'm sure Tease and Ronnie are going to be forgotten and tucked away on the side forever.
Yeah, they're gonna be another addition to the Jilted Women's Club. Mm. Oh, and be prepared to at least see one more Meanwhile Back at the Ranch episode here in a couple episodes.
Yeah. I don't want that. I just want more of this.
I'd feel a lot more invested in this arc had we not been constantly interrupting the fact it's like, oh yeah, by the way, this is totally a game. Like, again, if it was about...
Well, what do you mean? Like, Sword Art's always been it's always
alright.
been a game.
But the idea that Kirito thinks... Like, Kirito immediately being aware that... it feels like him immediately being aware that Wrath is also a game. It kind of, like, takes away a little bit of the investment here. Like, it'd be nice to see, like, him actually thinking it is kind of more akin to reality, rather than realizing, oh yeah, this is a game.
Well, someone who spent so long in virtual reality is going to be able to tell immediately when something's virtual reality. He spent literally years in it.
Fair, but he also had severe brain damage before getting in this. In fact, this whole process is to try and basically kickstart his brain.
So you're saying you wish that he didn't have his memories of the of the real world? Yeah, I can see that.
Okay. See, that's I guess where I was having a little bit of trouble articulating that. I'd be more interested in this if he was convinced that this was the real world and he didn't have memories of the real world.
Just kind of like it's an actual
like it'd be like the audience
story.
Like the audience being aware that it's a game, but Kirito not necessarily being aware of it and him slowly trying to figure this stuff out.
I guess it would have been interesting seeing how Kirito reacts without his memories of everyone else.
Yeah. Like, and maybe seeing like glimpses or flashes of all that, like again, with the power of love, Birch Tree Sword. Again, I didn't have a problem with that scene necessarily, but at the same time, it would have been nice had those just have been like, wait, who are these people kind of deal? Like, why do I feel this way? Like, and we, the audience, know, but he, the character, doesn't.
My favorite comment I saw about that sword scene is like, yes, my sword too gets big when I think of Asuna.
Anyway, overall, I thought this episode was fine.
It was fine. It's just fine.
Yeah, it was good. I liked it. I think that just like with any episode in the series, like, there were some kind of stupid things, but I guess that's part of the fun of Sword Art.
What's next?
Next up is Thunderbolt Fantasy.
Oh, yeah. I got to see, Lang was afraid of the whole time.
Oh, yep. Yep, we finally, like, the sword, the 7 blasphemous deaths, ends up in the hands of the person who should not have it. Like, the last person you want to have it.
I still don't agree with Lang's kill first just in case idea, but I mean, he was right. I still don't agree with it.
I hate to admit that, yeah, he was right, but at the same time, I don't know. It's just... It's always hard to justify that because that's like guilt. That's like, they're immediately guilty.
Yeah.
That's like trying to treat things like the way Psycho-Pass does. Like, basically, you know about
just
Psycho-Pass.
In case, yeah.
Exactly. Like, let's lock up the latent criminals. Like, hey, they haven't done anything yet, but there's a strong possibility that they might. So let's get rid of them.
So I think the narrative in this episode was perfect. They had just Princess
Ji Young-lo.
Yeah, she. Wait, is that her?
Yeah,
Ji Young-lo was. What's that Gail's name?
It's not Ji Young-lo.
Anyway, yeah, I'll take your word for it.
AKA the Princess of Cruelty.
Yeah, she came to a realization of like, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to use this sword anymore. It's just controlling me.
Yeah, and she's basically like going through like withdrawals. Like you see her kind of like stumbling about, trying to escape it. Just going like through all this surreal imagery. Just
after she slaps like 1,000,000 seals on the sword, and the sword's like, well, fine, I'll sleep for now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then and of course it's invaded her mind. She's basically like an addict at this point.
Yeah.
Just going through withdrawals, but then she meets up with Xiong in a field, and the two of them fight. Pretty cool fight, by the way. But it was revealed but Xiong does not kill her. Xiong fights her, breaks her sword, and she kind of laments over how weak she is and how weak she truly is, and how she acknowledges that now, how she was using the sword to compensate for that. But Xiong says, is it not, what's stronger, somebody who fights or somebody who was beaten but somehow is still able to survive?
Yeah. Xiong, he's so neutral good, like to a T. Like he's that guy that runs around beating people up but not killing them.
Exactly.
But it's done so well. It's like it feels like he's not just doing it because it's the good thing to do. You get a lot of character behind Xiong about the reason why he doesn't like killing people. So
yeah,
and then the whole speech where he's saying like, yeah, it takes real strength to lose and then still keep living.
Yeah, exactly. It's very easy to die, but it's very difficult though to learn from your weaknesses and actually learn to overcome them. That's where true strength lies. And again, really cool philosophy. Because I think Xiong has lived through that philosophy constantly.
Yeah, and like one of my favorite parts is when she says like, "What's your true ideal of strength?" And he's like, "Well, I think a strong guy is someone who would be able to go around doing whatever he wanted without people taking revenge on him." It's like, if that's the case, I must be pretty strong, right? And he just walks off laughing.
Yeah. Again, I think Xiong is such a cool protagonist, such a good main character, but that whole conversation, that whole fight convinces Ji Young-lo to basically turn over a new leaf. She realizes, he's right. I'm going to try and turn my life around. I'm going to find that monk.
Yeah, which is the biggest flag for you're about to die. Like, I've seen a new light. I think I can do something better with my life now.
Yeah, and then
as soon as I saw that, I was like, she's dead. He's gonna turn around and he's gonna kill her. Mm-hmm.
Now, I kind of saw it coming that the monk was gonna be the one to actually get the 7 blasphemous deaths. Like, just like the fact that A, he was the only other person who knew where it was. B, his general ideology and philosophy of everything was kind of pointless.
And especially after he found the farmers.
Yeah, the old couple that he'd saved that were slaughtered by another person that he'd saved.
That probably just he didn't look like he snapped on the outside, but I feel like that just snapped. That made him snap right there.
Yeah, because that's the big thing about his character. Like, he was questioning and wanting to ultimately find purpose and reason, but at the same time, every answer that he's found, there has been nothing. Everything's kind of been hollow. The world is just chaotic.
Yep.
And he realizes, well, there's not much of a point to anything, is there? So
as soon as he picks up the sword, he's like, well, this sounds like a good reason to do anything.
Yeah, pretty much. Again, it kind of reminds me of Jevil from Deltarune. Like, just the ability, it's like, well, I can do anything because nothing matters. So I can do literally anything.
Well, I don't think that was... I think his motivation was he just needed a reason to do something.
Yeah.
And the sword is... the combination of his beliefs and the sword's hypnotizing powers just pretty much put him in that perfect situation of, well, I found a reason.
Yeah.
It's not that he can do anything. It's just that he finally has a reason to do something.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I guess so. I still think that it's interesting, though, because his viewpoint is pretty much nihilism. Just the idea that things are inherently pointless. So basically, though, when you're pushed to an edge, like, you just realize, like, oh, if nothing matters, then and nothing inherently has any true consequences, so I can do whatever. Is pretty much what it comes down to, I think. And the sword has kind of sharpened that resolve.
Oh, I think it just helped him realize that,
yeah.
Or, I don't know how I'm going to put this. So, he was having such a big problem with it. Just the weight of that being off his shoulders probably made him snap.
Yeah, I imagine so. Either way, we do get an interesting reveal because, like, his monk hair comes undone. It's all like this long, freaking luscious long,
like black and red hair. Yeah.
And he decides to start going back by his old name before he took up his monk vows as a monk, which I don't remember what it was.
And then he swiftly kills Ji Yingluo.
Like from a distance, basically, like swings the sword and fires like sword beams at her.
Yeah, which I assume it like probably cut all around the inside of her neck.
Yeah,
because the outside looked fine.
Yeah, like he's basically sapped the energy away from her, and that's what they described it as. Like it looks like they kind of like all like the life energy of her had just been siphoned out.
And the episode ends on Lang just like squeezing his fist like, I knew this was going to happen.
I wonder if those two are going to meet up, and I wonder if Lang is going to die, or if Shang and Lang are going to end up fighting again, because again, that was a big part of their dilemma, was the fact their philosophies were different enough, because both of them wanted to do the right thing, but they both believe in they both have different perspectives on what the right thing to do is, because Shang is very much, let's try to intervene when you need to, but don't try to force things. Lang, meanwhile, is very much, let's kill somebody just in case they could be evil.
Which, like, it kind of makes more sense now, just his, like, supernatural instincts.
Yeah.
Like, they've never proved him wrong, so why would he... Like, at this point, there was probably a point in his life where he realized, like, my instincts are never wrong, so I'm just going to go with him, because if I don't... Like, let's say, for example, I have a feeling that this person's going to kill somebody, so I'll kill them now, and then if he didn't do anything and then ended up killing him, that's he essentially just helped them.
Yeah, it's a very absolutist point of view, one that I don't agree with. I mean, unfortunately, like in his execution of it, but anyway, I really am looking forward to seeing either the monk and them fight, or the former monk, I guess, or Shang and Lang fighting. I imagine it's going to be one of those two things.
I want to see Lang sing again.
Yeah, just sing the intro. Yeah. That'd be hilarious. We need to watch the Sword of Life and Death, the movie.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's on Verve.
Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah. But maybe we'll have a little bit more perspective on Lang as a character. But anyway. Last but not least is Zombieland Saga.
Yeah, Saki episode.
Yep, Saki!
With a stupid long title.
Yeah, I don't even remember what it is.
No, me neither.
Like, I wrote it down last week, but at the same time, I think I'd drive myself freaking insane if I tried to remember it. But basically, we find out a lot about who Saki was. We find out that, she was alive in the late 90s. Like, we officially had that confirmed, because she has a Tamagotchi.
Yeah.
Yeah, just like... And she's brought up before how she loves her Tamagotchi and stuff like that.
Oh, little side, I learned that Drive-In Tori is a real place.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's like a real place in Saga Prefecture.
Huh.
Yeah.
Interesting. But it actually begins with one of the coolest intros, I think. You just see, like, Saki and her friend Reiko just talking to each other. Like, just kind of talking.
With fucking ridiculous bikes.
Yeah, but then it slowly reveals, like, talking about, like, what their plans and dreams are for the future. And then it just, like, they start to take off on their bikes, and it's just, like, everybody, like, there's just a bunch of other biker ladies just knock the hell out.
Like, it's traditional, like, anime hooligans.
Yeah, exactly. Just so many biker people just out unconscious. But we find out that the girls, though, are met up. They're accosted by another member of her former biker gang, who immediately does wipe the side of her nose straight.
Yeah, like the...
Yeah,
kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's like they end like every part of their sentence with like,
yeah, pretty much. But they're riding around on scooters.
Yeah, not even actual motorcycles. Yeah, just electric scooters.
Yeah, and Lily looks up and just says like, "Oh, how lame." But then they start getting all uppity. It's like, "What middle school are you guys from?" And then Lily's like, "Actually, I'm in elementary school." And she's like, "Oh, well, you're okay then."
Yeah, maybe we shouldn't pick on an elementary schooler.
Like that would just look bad. But
But it's fine because Attack Dog Ty saves the day.
Yeah, Attack Dog Ty. Ty really is their attack dog, pretty much.
Fucking didn't you like bite her or something like
Yeah,
that?
you think that it'd be Romero, but actually no. Romero wasn't even around.
Oh, I guess it's Saki that really saves the day, because Saki just comes in and gives like one angry glare, and they're like, I guess we'll leave now.
Yeah, pretty much. And just like, it's all stylized. It's like, oh yeah? Like, and it's
whenever Saki like glares at the screen, and
yeah,
like, it gets all like comic booky and,
yeah.
and intense.
Yeah, the other really funny thing throughout this episode is, like, you get to see, like, Reiko is basically just trying to live a normal life. And she was talking about this with Saki before, apparently. Just, she wants to give up all this and just get married and live a normal life because she never really had that opportunity. She was kind of born into the whole biker thing, which we don't really know all, like, of what led her up to it, but she basically...
She wanted her kids to have a normal life.
Yeah.
Is their major... motivation.
But then her daughter Maria specifically like joined the gang that she was a part of.
Yeah.
Like, and was a former boss too, and she hates her mom though. Like,
I don't think she hates her mom,
or she hates how weak she is.
Yeah, because she wants to be like strong and like independent, and her mom's always like apologizing and just being really meek about everything.
Yeah, which. Again, I guess it kind of makes sense because she just wants to live and have her kids live a normal life. Mm-hmm. And it was interesting, like, kind of seeing like a little time lapse. Like, you see Reiko talking to Maria, like, just have a good day at school, sweetie, and like it's like, thanks, love you, mom, and then like later it just like, have a good day at school, sweetie. Okay, bye. And then later she comes home and she's just in like a biker jacket and shit.
Wait, wow, that escalated quickly.
Yeah, just. Like, it's like it's momentary time lapse, but at the same time, it shows you everything that you need to know. Just like the kind of slow build up, and it feels like it's ridiculous, but it still feels genuine somehow. And I think that's
like most stuff in the show.
Yeah, it's way overplayed, but at the same time, yeah, there's still some reality to it. But we also find out how Saki died.
Oh yeah, which is very. Like you said before, it's very goofy, but still fits. It's the same thing with how Lily had a heart attack over seeing facial hair.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Saki died playing chicken, pretty much. And
I feel like it was less an accident about her going over the edge and her just refusing to lose.
Yeah, exactly.
Because that's like the kind of personality she had. It's kind of what she has now, but to like a lesser extent.
Yeah, it's definitely like hers. Like her philosophy, like, because she didn't really know what she wanted to do with her life after all this was said and done. She was asking Reiko.
I don't know. She's saying, I don't know how to be normal. What does normal mean?
Yeah, what does that even mean? Which it makes me wonder, A, what kind of life did Saki have, like, just before? Like, what were her parents like? Did she even really have a chance to have a normal life? But also, and if she didn't, she kind of had the whole, like live free or die kind of attitude, which... She ended up dying.
Yeah. Oh, it worked out. She's alive now, kind of.
Yeah. She's alive. So, she, like, Sasaki steals, like, she's like, hey, Reiko, I'm gonna borrow your bike again. And then just drives it off a cliff. Just like in the same manner as before, but this time she grabs the edge. But then Reiko slaps her in the face. It's like, how could you be so stupid?
Oh man, that just scene where she's just like, how about this? And just fucking just does like a wheelie jump off the side of the mountain. And
like, check this out!
Yeah, I expected her just to be like, just down there, and then they'd think she died again or something.
Yeah, but no, she just grabbed it, and it's just like, whew, yeah. I'm that awesome.
Going back a little bit, we get to see how observant Kotaro is.
Yeah.
Again, because Saki's like, I gotta go out. And he's like, well, where are you going? He's like, idle stuff.
Just idle stuff, man. Because like they bring up earlier, like it's like idols can't get involved in anything with violence, which is pretty much again pretty real to life. Like
it's like, well,
and you can't even do less of that because you're zombies. You just can't interact with people. And
his major point was, you can't be selfish because what you do could end up ruining everyone else in the process. Yeah. Which probably made her realize. Because she was probably intending to go out there and beat him up.
Yeah.
But she realized, like, oh, okay, well, I can't do that now.
Yeah, it's like, I have to make a statement the only way I know how to.
And the best part of the episode was just
music? Come on.
Just Kozar sitting on the side, and then it smash cuts to
just
their concert, which I assume he had all the stuff in the back of his...
I imagine so. And they're just throwing it for the two gangs, what's left of the Doremi gang, and then also... the other the rival gang. Yeah. But then we get to see once again Fran Choo Choo's like devoted like metalhead fans.
They're there for everything. It's such a good repeating joke.
Yeah, and they were just like, well, they got even more weirdos, but that's what Fran Choo Choo's all about. Just inviting all the weirdos. I guess it's so fitting because they really are an abnormal idol group.
It's my favorite part of this entire series is so, like, I think back on episode 2, week 2 of this season, we were talking about how when they did, like, the rap, the hip-hop thing.
Yeah.
And we were hoping that, like, I hope every episode is, like, a different genre of music. And they've done that with quite a few episodes so far, actually, because they had the rap, and then they had, like, the death metal. The death metal, then they had, like, the normal idol stuff, and then they had Lily's kind of, like, somber...
Yeah.
Singing, which was kind
of ballad, and then this was definitely more in keeping with what Saki was talking about because it was more biker related and stuff like that.
It was like a punk rock idol,
exactly.
Fusion, and then they had like the techno show with the fucking finger lasers. Oh my god! Yeah, my favorite part of this series is just like the music performances and then the lead up to the music performances. And Kotaro is always cueing the music like a badass.
Yeah, and in varying ways too. I still think my favorite moment of that was, again, back in episode 2, when he just kind of notices what's going on, and he just starts beatboxing. Yeah. It was too perfect.
That was my favorite scene of the series so far.
I agree.
It's going to be hard to top that. It was so perfect how he just starts going... then Yukiri's like... and starts playing on her thing, and then... what's her name? Lily.
Yeah.
Starts like, me too. He starts clapping, hyping up the crowd. That scene was just too perfect.
Yeah. This series has just proven to, despite a couple slip-ups in like episodes 3 and 4, this series has really proven that, this series is good.
Yeah, I'm able to, I didn't like episode 3 and 4 very much, but at this point I'm able to completely ignore it.
Exactly.
Like, it's so good that I'm able to just ignore it.
Yeah, and... Next episode, episode 10, it seems like it's going to be a Yugiri-centric episode. Mm-hmm. Which makes me think, so who all we had like backstory episodes for? We had Junko and I, technically. We had Lily, we had Saki. We are going to hopefully have Yugiri.
So that leaves Tai and Sakura?
Yeah. Which makes me wonder if Tai's even going to have her own episode. Or if Sakura's even going to have her own episode.
I'm pretty sure it's going to be the big reveal that Kotaro ran Sakura over.
I mean, it has to be. Yeah. We've been saying that for a while, but it makes sense. Sakura, it just seems to have been the accident.
Yeah, they intentionally go out of their way to make Sakura look as bland and uninteresting as possible all the time. Like how when she was about to give that inspiring speech,
she was cut off.
Yeah, Yukiri just slaps her and is like, "No, this thing," and she like says exactly what she was gonna say.
Exactly.
And then in the God Olympics, when they made this huge scene where it's like, "I have to fly, I have to jump it farther than everyone else," and she just splats face first into the mud. It's like, if that's not just symbolizing what she's supposed to be in the show, I don't know what is.
Yeah, pretty much. Exactly. It seems like Sakura is supposed to feel like the sort of generic like lead idol person, because in Love Live and stuff, like all the there are everyone else aside from the main idol are infinitely more interesting in shows like that. But here they're just kind of playing with that because she's just she's
the normal person.
Yeah, she's just the person who's just kind of getting strung along at this point, though, which is hilarious. But I think that's all for the weekly stuff.
Yeah, that's it for week 9 of fall.
Yeah, fall 2018.
Fall 2018.
It's summer. What are you talking about?
Man, okay. I can't keep track of days.
Yeah,
seasons.
Sorry, this episode was a little bit late. We got caught up in a couple other things.
I got caught up in agonizing neck pain.
Yeah,
for a few days, so I couldn't really record because I couldn't focus.
Yeah,
But I'm better now, mostly.
Yeah, better now, mostly.
So next week will probably be on time.
Yeah. But anyway, thank you so much for tuning in this week, everybody. Hope you guys will like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Keep the discussion going.
Ding the bell. Like, comment, subscribe if you want your waifu to be real. We'll do it. Like, it's gonna happen, guaranteed, 100%.
We're not buying.
Money back.
We're not buying Nendroids or anything like that.
No, we're not. We're just gonna make people's waifus real. Okay.
Again, how? Are you just gonna pull a Kotaro and not give an explanation?
Figure it out next week.
All right, I'll hold you to that. Next week, we'll figure out from Rex, how does he plan on making your waifu real?
Bye. See you guys next week.
Yeah, take care of yourselves, everyone. Bye.